Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you've spent any time hunting for a business to buy, you've probably stumbled across the internet's favorite passive income dream, buying a laundromat. The pitch sounds flawless, right? You just buy a box of machines, collect the quarters, and retire to a beach somewhere. If you're tired of the stock market and chasing solid cash flow, you've definitely thought about it. But today, we're going to dive into the gritty reality of these acquisitions and, most importantly, how to rigorously avoid overpaying for one.
What is this thing actually worth? It's the single most important question every buyer faces, and honestly, it's where most first-timers make a ridiculously expensive mistake. Because here's the reality. That asking price, it's just a starting point. It's almost never what the business is actually worth. If you just walk in and pay the asking price without running the math, you almost certainly overpaid.
So, today, we're tackling a 6-step survival guide to figure this out. We're going to cover 1, the asking price trap, 2, finding real earnings, 3, water the lie detector, 4, the silent deal killers, 5, pricing the risk, and finally, 6, making your adjusted offer. Let's get right into it.
Step 1. The asking price trap. Priced on a story, not on earnings.
You know how it goes. A broker or a seller sits you down and spins this amazing tale about the great neighborhood, the incredibly loyal customers, or how there's so much room to grow. And based purely on that narrative, they slap a highly optimistic number on the listing. Ignore it. Seriously? Totally ignore it. You are not buying their story. You are buying their cash flow. Your very first job as a buyer is to block out that narrative entirely and hunt for the hard math.
Number 2, finding the real earnings. This is literally the only metric that matters for a buyer.
To cut through all that noise, we use SDE, Seller's Discretionary Earnings. This is the gold standard for valuing basically 99% of single owner-operated laundromats. SDE is the actual cash the business spits out, but only after you normalize the books. Think about it. If the current owner is running their family's cell phone plan or their personal health insurance through the business, you've got to add that cash back into the profit pool. Why? Because you won't be paying their personal bills. You're stripping away the previous owner's lifestyle to find the raw, underlying earning power of the store.
And this right here is why you see such a crazy contrast between claimed profit and actual SDE. Sellers love quoting an inflated profit number, right? Sometimes they even conveniently forget to mention undocumented cash expenses just to make their margins look better than they actually are. You have to yank that profit back to reality. When you're digging into the books, the question you should always be asking is, what would a brand new owner actually experience on day one?
Moving on to step 3, water the lie detector, verifying untraceable cash revenue.
Okay, this is honestly the most fascinating part of due diligence. How do you verify revenue when like 80% of these places are still just mountains of untraceable physical quarters? Well, you put on your forensic investigator hat and you look at the utility bills. There's a famous saying in the industry, water is the one thing that cannot lie. You can absolutely fake a spreadsheet, but good luck faking a municipal water bill. Every single wash cycle uses a highly specific, documented amount of water.
So here's the secret sauce, a process called water triangulation. It turns 12 to 24 months of utility bills into undeniable math. First up, you take the total gallons used and subtract about 5% for incidentals. Bathroom sinks, mopping, maybe a leaky pipe. Second, calculate the implied wash cycles. Commercial machines use anywhere from 12 to 25 gallons a wash, so just check the manufacturer's specs. Finally, take those implied cycles and multiply them by the vend price. Boom! That gives you the unvarnished truth about exactly how much money is actually going into those machines.
You could even gut check this against industry benchmarks. Typically, you should be seeing roughly $30 to $60 of revenue for every 1,000 gallons of water used. So let's say a seller is bragging that they pull in 30 grand a month, but the water bills only support 15. It's mathematically impossible. They're artificially inflating those numbers. And if you catch that discrepancy, well, congratulations, you just dodged a massive financial bullet.
All right, step 4, the silent deal killers, equipment lifespan and the lease trap.
Because honestly, verifying the income is just the starting line. You also have to independently confirm the physical integrity of the place, the actual condition of the equipment, and the exact nitty-gritty terms of the lease. These are the silent deal killers. They will quietly bleed your investment dry long after the ink is dry on the contract.
Let's talk expenses. In a healthy laundromat, utilities should eat up about a fifth, so 20 to 25% of total revenue. And rent? rent needs to stay strictly under 25%. If you're looking at a seller's profit and loss statement and these slices of the pie look wildly out of whack, you've got a major problem on your hands.
You really need to watch out for these specific red flags. If total operating expenses are mysteriously dipping below 40% of revenue, the numbers are garbage. Real laundromats just do not run on a 10 or 20% expense ratio. It's a total fantasy. Or say you see repair costs that look shockingly cheap, but the store is packed with ancient machines. Put that detective hat back on. The seller's probably paying some repair guy under the table in cash to hide the true maintenance costs and artificially puff up their profit margin to trick you.
But the absolute biggest, most dangerous silent killer is the lease. Think about it. A laundromat is quite literally bolted to the floor. You can't just unbolt 60 massive commercial washers and move down the street over the weekend. Because of that, if your remaining lease term is anywhere under 7 to 10 years, you're buying an income stream that could just vanish. If a stubborn commercial landlord decides not to renew, you're toast. A short lease doesn't just lower the value of the business, it's an existential threat to its very existence.
Which brings us to step 5, pricing the risk, applying a fair, reality-based multiple.
Okay, so we have our water-verified SDE, we know our risks, so what's the actual multiple we use to value this thing? Listen, a laundromat's multiple is not some magical fixed number you pull out of thin air. It is heavily dictated by real-world risk. If a store has unverified revenue, old equipment, or a shaky lease, it absolutely does not deserve a premium multiple. I don't care what the listing broker claims.
You can see how valuations bracket out here based strictly on quality and risk. A standard coin-op place usually sells for about 2.5 to 3.5 times its SDE. But throw in a shaky lease or a bunch of aging washers and you drop straight down to the bottom tier, around 2 to 3 times. On the flip side, if you're looking at a sleek, modernized, card-operated store, that can push the multiple all the way up to a 5x premium.
You just have to score the store honestly. A modern card system gets a premium because, hey, no one can skim the cash and you can track every penny precisely. But if the place is full of gas-guzzling 15-year-old top-loaders, you have to apply a sharp discount. Why? Because you, the buyer, are the one who's going to have to write the massive check to replace them very soon. And that future expense drags down the value of the business right now.
All right, final step. Number 6, making your adjusted offer. Formulating a bid based on hard math.
This is where all the puzzle pieces snap together into an actual math-based bid. Here is your golden formula. Take your true water-verified STE, multiply it by your risk-adjusted multiple, and then, and this is absolutely crucial, subtract the near-term capital expenditures. Let's make this concrete. If you know 10 washers are going to die in the next 2 years and they cost $6,000 a pop to replace, you subtract that $60,000 right off the top of your valuation. That minus sign right there, that's where so many first-time buyers completely fail to protect themselves.
Always remember that every single document you request, the water bills, the bank deposits, the P&L, the lease, it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle. It is completely on you, the buyer, to sniff out the anomalies. Every single number has to perfectly align before you even think about reaching for your checkbook.
So armed with water triangulation and a totally unclouded grasp on true sellers' discretionary earnings, you now actually have the tools to spot an overpriced trap from a mile away. The only question left is, are you ready to stop buying optimistic stories and start acting like a forensic detective to uncover what these places are truly worth? Run the hard math, protect your capital, and thanks for joining me on this explainer.